everybody, Josh RV Nerd with Bish's RV here with some updated new for 24 footage on the Surveyor 240BH in their Legend series. This is a very common floor plan. Like if I just describe it, it's a double over double bunkhouse with a Murphy bed and a dinette slide and a cargo door in the back. Well, a lot of campers meet that description, but they all do it a little bit different. So why would you spend your money on a Surveyor versus brands X, Y, or Z? That's what I want to focus on here, is what they're doing different. First of all, the fact that they're taller inside. Most builders of a camper like this are only 6.5 foot on the sidewall. This is 6'9", linear all the way across. Although the outside ceiling, or roof line rather, is barreled and vaulted so that you do get some water runoff. But it provides you more headroom in the shower, taller bunks, more cabinet space. They're totally carpetless and ventless, and include a central vac system. So it is arguably the easiest to clean of any builder making a floor plan like this out there, at least of which I'm aware. You know, they've improved a lot of things too, and they're really getting in tune with consumer feedback. Like last year, some folks said we don't like the tires, so they said fine, we'll do Goodyears. Folks said we wish the solar package was better. They said fine, we'll bulk that up 250% or so. And they're really in tune with this, and I like what they're doing. They've actually shortened the length of it a little bit by scaling the bumper back, but instead of that cargo rack, you didn't lose anything. You just gained the ability to gain some flex space with a receiver hitch off the back of this. So it can be a bike rack, a cargo tray, it can do anything you want. Or not. Maybe you didn't care about putting any junk on the back of this one's truck. Now you don't have to. Now you just end up saving that space, which is very cool. A little bit shorter for parking. It's 26.5 foot tip to tail. The weight category fits in very nicely for half-ton towability. There's a lot of really good going on with this one. It's got a couple little hitches in its giddy up. I want to point out the good, the bad with the ugly, and everything in between. And if you appreciate that kind of fair approach, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get started in there. And there's certain floor plans that just kind of hit me in different ways, and maybe it's just my own nerdy little way of looking at stuff, but this feels like a camper. That by default you look at it and say, oh man, that's a great compact little family camper. I got to slide out for some extra space. There's no carpet. It's easy cleaning. These even have central vacuum systems default, included from the factory, which is great. There's some cool things there. And you see a double over double bunk, and you naturally think, okay, bunkhouse, that makes sense for families. But it's this move bunk, get out the way cargo bunk system down here that makes that so much more to me. Because I've actually seen a lot of people who either the kids grew up and they decided, you know what? We got used to having that nice big garage space back there. Maybe we don't need to change our camper out. Because now we have a built-in place for like a kayak or e-bikes or all the various stuff that you bring with you when you go camping. And that's, you know, when you get accustomed to a certain amount of storage, it gets hard to give that up, you know. And that folding cargo bunk right there, that's just it's a super handy flex function feature where maybe you sometimes have kids with you. Like, this can be a fantastic, like, grandpa-grandma camper where maybe you have some grandkids with you sometimes and you don't the rest of the time. Maybe you want a place to load up your bicycle. Now, it does have a cargo receiver hitch on the back rated for 300 pounds. That doesn't mean that you always have to use it. There's also little details like separate curtains for the upper and lower bunk beds is a nice touch. And the fact that from the factory, it actually is including a bunk ladder. Now, the Murphy sofa up front includes a couple nice little armrest cushions that apparently I forgot to put back in place. So that's on me, not on Surveyor. But both the bunks have a window that opens for airflow. They both have their own individual little nighttime light. And a set of USB plugs, which is always handy. I mean, I've never seen a situation where someone's like, I wish this camper didn't have USB plugs. Like, it's just one of those things. They're just always useful. That is a 12-volt DC compressor fridge up there, by the way. It does run with the smaller oven, but you've got an interesting little mini spice rack down below it. You've also got another one of those up here above the microwave. So I guess you could have you know, upper spice and lower spice. Those, by the way, were two of the Spice Girls who did not make the cut. A lot of people don't realize there were originally 7 Spice Girls, but upper spice and lower spice ran out of time. That is a seasoning joke, ladies and gentlemen. You don't tend to run into a lot of those unless you're talking to someone who's very seasoned at the dad jokes. Notice where the sink cover is? It is also the backsplash, and a cutting board. It is like a 3-in-1 wombo combo that personally I really like in this camper. And up here in the living area, the campsite window coverage, isn't terrible. Now that TV can the PV can pivot. Yep, the TV can pivot around to be able to be viewed either from the slide seating or from the front bed and or Murphy sofa, whatever kind of works best for you. But I specified the phrase slide seating. I didn't say dinette because you don't have to get it with a dinette. That's a really neat thing Surveyor does. They give you a choice, basically, of do you want a dinette, a hide-a-bed, or a theater seat? And if you don't get the dinette, you're thinking, yeah, but what kind of table action do I have? One of the cool things is that if you do get the theater seat or the hide-a-bed, it still includes a handy little lagoon table. So you always have some kind of seat setup going on there. Now, I know I'm pointing almost straight down. I hope that doesn't make you motion sick. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get up over that sink so that or the faucet, so you can see there are household and USB outlets on either side of that. And the black circles in the countertop, it's a simple thing, but I kind of like it. It's a cup holder. It's just, you know, those extra little details so you don't accidentally bump your drink and knock it over and spill it everywhere. It's those little things that I look at that I appreciate, and I say, somebody who's gone camping spent some time kind of thinking of and devising some of this stuff right here. Now, these are 30 amp. They are not 50 amp capable. They're not second air capable. That doesn't have a vent fan from the factory, but you could piggyback some power off of those lights up there, and you could create a power vent fan in that area if you are so inclined. Now, I can't remember if I discussed this or not, so if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. This is not video number 6 or 7 or 8 today. I can't even recall. But they're 6'9" tall on the inside, which it adds a lot of extra space in these. It makes a very handy, significant difference. You see your big 15,000 BTU air conditioner up there as well. And I do think, oops, sorry, I'm bumping the camera. I think it's high time we start diving into some of the details here. So again, keep in mind that your seating could be different from what we're looking at here. But one of the cool things is that with the dinette, they added some doors on the end of the storage right there to make it easier to get to. And did you notice those blackout roller shades? Last year, these had those pleated style night shades, and the rollers just flat block more light. There's just no question about it. Now, the kitchen storage is broke up a little bit, but overall, not too bad. It doesn't have the biggest, best kitchen I've ever seen because it is a small camper. And I did want to spend some time setting up this Murphy bed. We did have to flip into wide-angle lens mode here, but it's a 60 by 80 true queen size. It is a folding bendy bed, however. What's less obvious from all this footage is behind those hanging wardrobe towers and drawers, there actually are a set of household outlets back there for what I call your headboard power pockets. So if you do want to, you know, let's say you're a CPAP user, or you just want to have a place to charge your phone right up next to your head. Like, I'm one of those. I use my phone for my alarm clock. I use my phone for everything. It's my flashlight. It's my everything at this point. You know, have you ever forgot your phone? Like, either not at your desk or something like that, like you left it at home or you left it in the car. And like for the first half of the day, boy, you're just getting all kinds of work done. And then you realize you forgot your phone and like you feel lost. And then you get your phone and your productivity goes to crap. Just me? Anybody else? I don't know. Anyway, that's just a little glimpse into my life right there. As I said, the counter space in this is not fantastic. And you know, hang on. Kitchen power outlets. I'm not really overtly seeing any. Now, naturally, you've got a couple outlets behind that pivoting television up there. Do we have a couple down here, at least? What? Are you kidding me? That feels like a major miss, doesn't it? And I hope you appreciate that. I'll point stuff like that out. Like, there needs to be some kind of power outlet near that countertop, right? Am I crazy? Anyway, so you see the fellow sitting outside here, the guy with the backwards cap on in the blue shirt right there. His name's Ben, and Ben is the product manager basically for Surveyor. And I'm going to walk out of here and let him know I personally feel that is an oversight. And if you agree or disagree, either way, leave me a comment and let me know so we can get that feedback back to Ben, as it were. Porcelain foot flush stool that is very fluffy friendly. There's tons of space around that thing. You even got space to, if you're going to be a while, you can put your leg up and you can think about it for a while. Now, the sink over here is right against the pantry wall, but it gives us an easy opportunity to really kind of display that there is storage, you know, inside that mirror right there. But you notice how the mirror is actually oversized. The mirror is bigger than the medicine cabinet. That leaves room down here for like a toothbrush organizer, which is a little thing that I actually really like in RVs, especially when in the bathroom you typically have very, very limited counter space. Something else I really enjoy, when you do have that 6'9" sidewall, that means that a big tall goofball like me can fit in that shower very comfortably and without question. Now, it is the conventional 4-inch fart fan in the bathroom. You do have the peekaboo I smell you bathroom door. Nothing too fancy to write home about there. What I'm not sure about is how the road mode is going to work out in this one. And actually what I'm most curious about, I can't remember because I see too many RVs, so I have to redo it every year to remind myself. Can we use the bed when the slide is closed? And that is a negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. Unfortunately, it does look like we lose the use of the front True Queen Murphy bed in transit in road mode with this one, because that sofa just can't fold down. Now, what about the rest of the camper? Obviously, the cargo door in the back can potentially get you part of the way there. When you get the dinette instead of one of the sofas, it is a little bit more bossy. It does stick into the RV a little bit more. Now, if you got skinny chicken legs like mine, well, you can skinny butt your way through there carefully. One of the other things, though, is if you look on the side of the slide out, it's kind of a dead giveaway indicator as to what kind of slide it has. You don't see that silver Schwintek thing. You don't see cables. It's a rack and pinion slide. And one of the benefits of a rack and pinion slide is if you just want to nudge it 6 inches, which usually means you can still stay within your parking space, because if you consider an 8-foot wide camper versus an 8.5-foot wide body camper, like a lot of fifth wheels, that means you can still fit within a parking space, nudge the slide, get back here, and get to the bathroom for an emergency potty stop. Now, I'm going to give it a C+ for travel access. At best, it does have that cargo function for going down the road. But in terms of road access, I don't really think the cargo door really qualifies. And different brands certainly have different things that they tend to do very well very often. I think with Surveyor, they really crush that comfortably half-ton towable market space. Now, keep in mind, every half-ton vehicle has a little bit different capacity, and there are some that are very, very weak in ratings. There's some reasons for that. That's a topic for an entirely different video, but there are some half-tons with tow capacities as low as like 4,500 pounds. So you always need to check the individual specs on your truck. But generally speaking, tow package half-ton, most Surveyors are very comfortably within that limit. Now, one of the things that's helping accomplish that is the Asdel they're using under the fiberglass. It's a lighter weight material, and it also adds a little bit of sound dampening, and especially when the sun's beating on this sucker, it's a little more thermal resistant as compared to common wood Luan paneling that is usually found under the fiberglass of RVs. Now, they have two different size baggage doors, which I prefer when they're both big, but it's because we have a water heater over on the other side, which is now a tankless on-demand water heater, by the way. That is the reason that we do have the two different size doors. This one, I suspect, is the one that you're in and out of most, so they do put the bigger door over here. Motion lighting on the most frequently used side of the pass-through, and the little cordless jack drill bit. That's a tongue-in-cheek way of me saying if you get yourself a little power drill, you can quick drop these stabilizer jacks quick and easy. Now, when you're in this size and price point, things like magnet holdbacks have become common, but slam latches, less common. And, you know, when it comes to being a good campsite neighbor, we call those slam latches. That doesn't mean that you have to kerblam the sucker every single time. There's nothing wrong with just gently dropping that and latching it shut. That's frankly not bad for the RV, period. It does seem like some folks really like to take that name slam latch and run with it. Now, the awning they put on this, I like how they nailed this one. Because of the way everything laid out, they were able to extend the awning back and give you a little bit bigger awning and encompass the camp kitchen in doing so. Now, one of the other things that you can see sticking up just above the awning line right there on the right-hand side is the newly expanded solar package. For a couple years, Surveyor had a very base level battery tending 80-watt solar package. Now, to be fair, that was still 80 watts more than a lot of brands were doing, so giving credit where it's due. But I do think that they've kind of caught up to like a minimum reasonable expectation of a 200-watt solar package with 30-amp charge controller. So it's not like, whoa, buddy, you're going to sit in the desert and run the air conditioner. It's not that kind of solar. It's not that, it doesn't have any of that. It is inverter prepped now, by the way. Any of your kitchen or bathroom GFI plugs are now prepped and run to some inverter wiring should you choose to add one of those. That is also a new for 24 kind of thing. The Goodyear Endurance radials, again, based on your popular consumer feedback, that was a major thing that people wanted to see updated and upgraded. And just like the solar package, they said, you got it. We're going to step up. We're going to do that. I also want to, again, point out the little things that separate the different brands, like tinted windows. A lot of builders of a camper like this do not have any sort of tinted windows. And obviously, I'm in this big tin building, so you're hearing my nasally voice echo all over the place. I feel like I'm, you know, the guy who does the old Yankee Stadium call-outs, you know, for Mickey Mantle. Anyway, my references are getting quite dated, it seems. We are prepped and ready for a telescopic removable ladder. Those are typically about 300 to 330 pound rated, so they're actually usually rated for more weight than a common RV ladder, which is one of the cool things for them. And this floor plan especially, if you do choose to add one of those ladders, you know, you can pick them up off Amazon or, you know, our parts department or whatever. This floor plan gives you a very easy place to load those. Not to mention you got that big giant baggage door over on the camp side of the RV where you could easily just slide one of those suckers in. Now down below here, I've been meaning to check on this all day, to check on the weight rating of this, and it is 300 pound rated, ladies and gentlemen. So that actually, that receiver hitch has the capacity to outperform the fold down cargo rack that they used to have on the back of these. That was only about 200 pound rated, and it had the spare tire mounted on it, which worked against that 200 pound rating. So you're actually able to put bulkier stuff off the back of this one without screwing anything up. Although keep in mind, the more weight you put behind the axles, especially dead on the tail, the more negatively that affects your towing geometry. So there's a little bit of a push-pull factor there. What I would recommend, if you go changing significantly how you tend to load your RV, take it for a test tow around the block or like a mile or two down the highway to just kind of feel things out a little bit to see how that works for you. Now, one of the cool things about a lot of your Surveyor floor plans, they do this wherever they can. They are very good about giving us a single sewer outlet. They don't tend to be a two-headed sewer monster right there, so that is just a little bit simpler, a little bit easier. Now, backing up a bit, we are slide awning prepped and ready, although if an RV doesn't have slide awning prep brackets, it typically can still accept a slide awning, so kind of take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But also coming into view is the new tankless on-demand water heater. Basically, as long as you got 12 volt and you got propane, you got hot water. It keeps up pretty darn well, which is something that I don't mind, because I try to be that guy who's like, all right, you girls go ahead, take a shower. I got a one wife and one kid, and with a gas electric water heater, even a fast recharge one, usually by the time it gets to shower number 3, which is dear old dad, which is me, I almost end up having to take a cold shower every time. So I take a quick little chilly cowboy shower, and then I fly through a real shower once we get back home. Tire pressure monitoring, standard by the way. That's what that little yellow antenna was right there that we were looking at. And I'd like your opinion on this. I understand the benefits from factory standardization, and it sure does have that Smex appeal to it when you have a piece of glass on the front of this thing. But in a Murphy bed model, where, you know, during the day, the bed's folded up and blocking the front window, typically for a lot of users. And then at night, you probably got the privacy shade down because you know you're sleeping and breathing right there. You don't want a gas station murder hobo checking you out. What do you think? You know, if it didn't have that front window, would it look weird and bare? I mean, there's not an option for it. I'm just kind of farming input. I'm just sort of curious at this point. So thanks again for tuning in. Let me know what you think about this one. And in the meantime, what I'll do is I will leave some links in the video description, or scan that big code if you're watching on TV on your phone, and you can check for pricing and availability on this anytime, whether you're curious or whether you're serious. No credit card number required just to get a figure on one of these. And if we happen to be sold out, which these are popular, that does happen, call our local teams and we're happy to get you some figures on one of these. But overall, I would ask you, where did they nail it? Where did they fail it? What is your favorite thing on this RV? And if you had to say one thing, what is the one thing that you would change to somehow enhance and make this RV better? I'd be curious to know, and we'll get that feedback back to them. And when you're ready, we're ready. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.